Hello everyone, welcome to the Concern Podcast where we unpack political, social, economic and cultural stories shaping our world. I'm Emmanuel Taban, and on this section of our podcast, I want us to look at this trending issue in Kenya where the President of the Republic of Kenya, William Arap Samuel Ruto, has decided to take a step to construct a church, not anywhere but at the State House of Kenya where he resides. And I want us to look at what this move would mean to Kenyans, and also what message is William Arap Samuel Ruto trying to send out there to Kenyans, especially at this moment where there is a lot of calls for him to just go home and leave the presidency. We have recently seen it demonstrations frequently by the Gen Zs going to the street asking for Ruto to go home and leave the presidency for someone who is capable. They said William Ruto has actually failed to deliver the promises that he gave to Kenyans. And constructing a church at this moment at a state house, what could this mean to Kenyan, and what message is William Arap Samuel Ruto sending specifically to Kenyans and those who are against him? And the church that the president is planning to construct is worth 1.2 billion Kenyan shillings. 1.2 billion Kenyan shillings. I did my maths, and 1.2 billion Kenyan shillings would be an equivalent of, I think, 9.2 million US dollars. You know that? And when I was doing my analysis and research, I actually came up with a very shocking figures, because one, I was looking at the aspect of because William Ruto, this move started just like rumors at first. People heard it from other sources, but later on the president came out and he confirmed that actually he is planning to construct or build a church at the State House. And this move has been criticized by so many Kenyans. So many Kenyans criticize this move. And not only the ordinary Kenyans, but also even the clergy. There are other people from the church, like the bishops, other prominent people in the church who have criticized this move. And the legality of the move is also questionable. Because one, Kenya is a multi-religious state. Like it's not aligned to a specific religion, And the place where this church is going to be constructed raises more questions. Because one, the State House of Kenya, I guess, it's a public spot. It's a public place. And since Kenya is a multicultural and multi-religious state, this means that any other person from a denomination, any denomination or any religion, could be even an atheist, can become a president of Kenya. And therefore, constructing a church at a state house would definitely send a message to the rest of the religions that Kenya is becoming a state of Christians, or it's becoming a state that values Christianity under William Arap Samuel Ruto. That's a big message that he's trying to send out there, and maybe it's not what Ruto meant, but of course other religions, other denominations would look at it that way, because the Constitution of Kenya states that Kenya is not for a specific religion or denomination. It's for everyone. It accommodates every religion. So why build a church at a state house? A state house which is supposed to be for everyone. That anyone can aspire and become a president one day, a Muslim or a Hindu, or even, an atheist can become a president one day. What happens then if that person who comes after Ruto is a Muslim, it's a Muslim and he doesn't need that church? How relevant will that church be? at the State House. That is one. One big message, or one thing that so many people might perceive the move taken by William Ruto is that this could be a clear signal that William Arap Ruto is making Kenya a state of Christian or a Christianity state. But also, the second of it is that, you know, I was looking at the calculations, you know, the timing of the decisions taken by William Ruto, you know, because the timing has been done perfectly. You know, of recent we have had so many protests. I mean, so many protests since Ruto came in, especially the one that were spearheaded by Gen Zs last year. And then this year as well, on the 25th of June, Kenyans went back on the street in commemoration of what happened in the previous year. And then followed by the death of Albert Ojwang, Kenyans went on the street to protest. And then again on Sabasaba, they went on to protest. And in all these protests, there was one message: Ruto must go. Ruto must go. The next question now comes in. Why would Ruto take a decision to build a church at a time when majority of Kenyans are calling him to go? Why? What message is William Arap Samuel Ruto trying to send to Kenyans? The message that William Ruto is sending to Kenyans at this time is that by constructing that church at the State House, William Ruto is communicating to Kenyans that he's not going anywhere. He's not going anywhere because let's first look at the amount of money that is going to be used to construct this church. 1.2 billion Kenyan shillings. And Ruto came out and actually tried to defend himself and say, this is not going to be state resources. This is not going to be money for the state. He's going to get that money out of his own pocket. He's going to get that money out of his own pocket. 1.2 billion Kenyan shilling. You know how much that is? Big one. Big amount of money. And when I was doing my calculation, actually, I realized that the president of Kenya receives annually about 130,000 US dollars. 130 as a salary, 130,000 US dollars. And then in 10 years, let's assume that Ruto get elected in 2027 and then he serves again for another term. That would be 10 years. And from 130,000, so in 10 years, Ruto will make about 170 something. That was like in total. In total. That's not even, that's like 1 point something million US dollars. So when I was doing this calculation, I was like, is Ruto stupid? Does it mean Ruto is mad? Why is it that he's going to use 1.2 billion Kenyan shillings to construct a church at the State House, a place that is not his home, that is going to leave in maybe 10 years? Why would he spend all that money? And I've just come to a realization that President William Arap Samuel Ruto is not mad. He knows very well that he's not going anywhere in 2027. If Ruto knows for sure that he is not going to be the president of Kenya in 2027, he will not waste 1.2 billion Kenyan shillings on church construction. He wouldn't do that at all. So what Ruto is saying at this moment is that he is communicating to Kenyans that however much you go on the streets, demanding that I must go, constructing that church at the State House is a clear communication. Ruto has spoken so loud that he's not going anywhere in 2027. He's not going anywhere because he's not a mad person that would spend 1.2 billion Kenyan shillings in constructing a church that he knows he's not going to live in there. It's not even going to serve him. Because if they start constructing the church right now, probably it might take like about 8 months or so for it to get done, you know? And by the time the church is done, that would be about in 2027. And Ruto would only be like for 1 year in State House. So why would he waste that if he knows for sure that he will soon go? He won't use 1.2 billion. So Ruto is not mad. He's not stupid. He knows exactly what he's saying, what he's doing. And he has communicated to Kenyans so loudly that he is not going anywhere. That is one. But also looking at another aspect, one, because we all know how Ruto came in power, you know. Ruto came in power when he got elected. One of the institutions that has contributed so much in his victory in 2022 was the church. The church contributed so much towards the victory of William Arap Samoei, and it was because Ruto associated himself so much with the church. When he came in power, when he was still campaigning, he associated himself so much with the church. And out of all the candidates, I think it was Ruto that so many people saw that at least this is a God-fearing person. And it was on that basis that he was actually elected to be the President of the Republic of Kenya. So, by constructing a church, but also before I go just a little bit further, that relationship between William Ruto and the church has been deteriorating for all these years from 2022 to now. The relationship between the church and William Ruto has been deteriorating. It has been growing so thin. And perhaps Ruto understood the importance of the church. And therefore, now that the country is nearing towards the next election in 2027, constructing a church at State House could mean or would be a way of bringing the church closer to him, you know, just to gain back that trust, because he trusted the church. The church labored so much in bringing him to power. So probably Ruto will still want the church to play a very important role in 2027 towards his re-election. And therefore, constructing a church at the State House would mean that he wants to bring the church closer to him. He wants to bring the church closer to him. He wants to win the trust of the church again so that the church can go on and disseminate the good news about him, that he is still relevant in the Kenyan society, you know. These are some of the things that I try to extract from this move done by William Arap Samoei Ruto. One is that he is trying to communicate so loud to Kenyans that however much they go on the street demanding that he should step down, he's not going anywhere. He's not going anywhere, not even in 2027. And it could even mean that beyond 2032, he will still be there. So it's a very, very loud communication from Ruto to the Kenyan people. And you know, because one, honestly, you can't just do that. The maths doesn't add up at all. It doesn't add up, you know. You are using about 1.2 billion Kenyan shillings. I mean, an amount of money that you will get in more than, 20 years. So just construct it, to construct a church that you know probably after 4 or 5 years you will leave. Honestly, no. He won't do that. Ruto knows very well what he is doing. He knows very well. And I hope that Kenyans read this move so carefully. Kenyans need to read this move by William Arap Samoei Ruto so carefully. Ruto is communicating something that so many people are not seeing it. He's trying to speak to the Gen Zs that is not going anywhere. He's trying to win back the support of the church by constructing church at the State House. You know? And the most shocking thing it's the money that is being used. He is using that money at a moment where, the country needs that money to be invested in something else. There are claims that the education system is not working. There's need for more money. Even in hospitals, health centers are not functioning. There are equipments that are lacking. But he's taking that money, putting it in church construction. And they say that is his own money. That is his own money. He's getting it from his own pocket. But even if it is his own money, getting it from his own pocket, but is State House his own land that he needs to construct a church. That should be, I think, the debate should start from there. The money could be his own, of which there is still doubt, but the premise where he wants to construct the church is not his, right? If he wanted, he should have done it in his home village, maybe, or in his hometown. That would make sense. And the criticism that he has received, I think it's so intense. Even the church, the clergy are really opposing, asking him who's going to head that church, who's going to be the bishop, because once you build a church, there's a need for someone to lead it. So who is William Ruto going to lead that, to make the person to lead that church? Or is he going to do it himself? Is he going to be the leader of that church? Quite interesting perspective here. Very, very interesting. So yeah, this is the analysis that I just try to come up with. And I know very well that with time, the whole story would reveal itself, and people will get to know exactly what Ruto meant by constructing that church at the State House. Because for me, Ruto is trying to communicate that he is not going anywhere soon. He's not going home. He's not going home in 2027. It could even mean that he's not going anywhere in 2032, because the money that he is investing in that church, the money that he's putting into that church, 1.2 billion, that's lots of money. Lots of money. That is, it's not worth it at all. It's not worthy. So thank you so much. This is a small analysis about the construction of church by President William Samuel Ruto. And if you feel this video has impressed you, just leave your comment down there, and also tell us your perspective about this move by President William Samuel Ruto. What is your perspective about him constructing a church at the State House, a place where it's supposed to be a public space, not for an individual, not for, a seat of a government, a seat of a national leader who's supposed to embrace everyone else. What is your take on this move by William Samuel Ruto? Leave your comment on the comment section, and thank you so much again for watching this video. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe, and see you in our next video. I remain Emmanuel Taban, and this is the Concern Podcast, where we bring you political, cultural, economic, and social stories that are trending and that can also shape the world around us. Thank you so much, and see you in our next